Hello, I'm Nick Simon from Nottingham, and I am the New Culture Forum Nottingham organiser. Now, I must just say that the views expressed in this video are my own views. They are not the views of New Culture Forum. I am not acting as a spokesman for New Culture Forum. Anyway, I hope, like me, you're all enjoying the sunshine and you're all enjoying England's tenuous hold in the competition, the European Championships. I'm pretty much glued to every game, not just the England game, all of them. And let's face it, we've all got an opinion about Gareth Southgate's tactics, haven't we? So, yeah, all very gripping. I imagine there are quite a few of you who are wishing there wasn't a stupid general election at this time, during a time when we're trying to enjoy the summer, the better weather and the football. A stupidly called general election at this time is precisely the last thing that most people want or need. And for that reason, the general election, I believe, is going to have, by a long way, the lowest turnout in history. Now that's interesting because the lowest turnout in history, or any really low turnout, means that any movement in support for any particular party can be greatly exaggerated in relation to the overall numbers, which are significantly reduced. Now, I'm seeing something happening now which I have not seen since the 2016 referendum, in which I campaigned hard for leave.eu, to leave the European Union. I'm seeing a momentum now that I've not seen since 2016, and it is around the Reform Party. A couple of weeks ago, or maybe even a few days ago, and I've looked at a lot of statistics, and I'm not going to bore you with them all on this short video, but there are a lot of statistics, there is a lot of polling. And only a few days ago, all the polling suggested that Reform were going to get between 1 and 2 seats. And then suddenly in the last few days, a new poll, a good poll, came out suggesting that Reform would now get 18 members of Parliament. So it's gone from 2 multiplied by 9, suddenly it's 18. Then only in the last day or so, the eminent, super intelligent political analyst and pollster from the University of Kent, Professor Matthew Goodwin, has come out with a poll. And in this poll, the Reform Party are getting 21% of the overall voting share, with the Conservatives languishing on 15%. Well, I can believe the Conservatives vote, but Reform getting 21% is a massive increase, a massive boost. 21% of overall votes, and it's shooting up, and the momentum is absolutely astonishing. So something historic could happen in this general election. Reform, if they carry on with this momentum, can achieve absolutely everything with the momentum that they've got, which is quite astonishing. 21% of overall votes. I'm not going to talk about how that would translate into seats yet, but 21% of overall votes, it's suddenly shot up to. Now, if it shoots up another 20 and suddenly they've got 41% of overall votes in a very, very low turnout general election, that would mean that they'll get more overall votes. They'll have the largest voting share. The Labour Party that are streets ahead at the moment, they won't get 41% of overall votes. So if the Reform trajectory keeps going the way it's going, they could quite easily find themselves with the largest or second largest voting share in the UK. And that would translate into quite a hefty number of seats in Parliament. And it could be so high that it could form a hung Parliament. It's unlikely, but nothing is impossible. And I have never seen momentum like this, not even in 2016. Reform can cause the most unbelievable upset in this general election. It can cause a moment of massive political history in the UK. Anything can happen. Now, I believe the reason for this is that not only are traditional Reform voters voting Reform, many undecided voters are going to vote Reform because Reform have come out with the only positive campaign. The Conservative and Labour campaigns have been desperately negative. All I've been doing is kicking lumps out of each other, while Reform have come out with policies saying things like, we're going to take the lower level at which you enter income tax up from roughly 12,500 a year to 20,000 a year, which is going to put a lot more money in everybody's pockets, and it's costed, and they've got a unique way of funding it. So that's a really positive part of their campaign. Everybody knows that the Labour Party policy on border control is simply open borders. Labour saying we're going to stop the criminal gangs by having a closer discussion with our European partners. Well, when has ever that worked in the past? You're not going to get anything by talking to the French. It's very, very easy to say that we're going to clamp down on the smuggling gangs. They're not going to do it. They are not offering a solution at all. They are offering open borders. Vote Labour, get open borders. Now, the Conservatives have the Rwanda plan in place, but the Conservatives, quite simply on these polling numbers, are not going to form the next government. Absolutely not. Rishi Sunak on these numbers is not going to be the next Prime Minister. So when I hear Reform attacking the Conservatives on their border policy, I kind of think, well, why do you bother? Because Rishi Sunak's not going to be Prime Minister. The next Prime Minister is going to be Keir Starmer, or it could get very, very interesting if there was a hung Parliament, and Reform in a hung Parliament could actually become a part of the government. This would be absolutely historic. It would be the biggest sea change in British political history, certainly in recent memory anyway. Now, I'm voting Reform. I'm a Conservative Party member, but I've given up completely on the party. I'm voting Reform. I'm campaigning very hard on social media for everybody else to join in and vote Reform. The simple fact is, if you're a floating voter, Britain needs reform. Britain needs change. So put your faith in Reform and vote for them. If you're a Reform voter, then make sure you go to the polls and put your Reform need every single vote that you can give. If you're, like me, a disaffected Conservative that has given up with the Conservative Party, do not sit at home. Do not sit at home. Britain needs reform. Go to those polls, vote Reform, because I'm telling you this, I have never seen momentum like it. The way the momentum is going and the way the data is coming out, Reform could spring the most incredible shock at this upcoming general election. So Britain needs Reform. Go out on July the 4th and vote Reform, because anything can happen. I'm Nick Simon from Nottingham. If you have enjoyed this video and you're watching it on X, please repost it. If you're watching it on Facebook, please share it. I want to get 1 million people to see this video. So I hope you've liked this video. Thank you very much for watching, and from Nottingham, from sunny Nottingham, goodbye.